Today's exclusive Organic Produce Network event is made possible by our sponsors, Homegrown Organic Farms and Star Ranch Organics.
At Homegrown Organic Farms, we're family farmers that have been exclusively growing and marketing certified organic produce since 1998. Founded on a pledge to care for the land, we believe in returning what the soil abundantly provides. This means an uncompromising commitment to quality that is second to none. And that means we offer you only what we trust for our own families. Always organic, always homegrown.
When you're feeding a consumer, when you're giving a product to somebody that has so much love and care built into it, it's a real joy to see that consumer take a bite and just go, holy cow, that's a great piece of fruit. The theme behind our company is be the best at what you can be. If somebody sees Star Ranch within their stores, I want them to know that the quality is there, the taste is there, because we put the technology and studies behind that technology day in and day out.
Now, here is our moderator, Tonya Antle, co-founder of OPN.
Hi, everyone. It is so great to welcome you all to the Organic Produce Network's What a Year It's Been, so far anyway. I would like to take this opportunity to thank today's sponsors, Homegrown Organic Farms and Star Ranch Growers. Thank you so much. And to our guest speakers today, Steve Lutz of Category Partners and Frank Padilla of Costco Wholesale. Well, as you all know, our world has changed drastically since March. The produce industry has been on the forefront, continuing to feed America an abundance of fresh produce. Matt and I want to thank you along with our team and would like to share our deep gratitude to all the specialty crop farmers and retailers, as well as wholesalers and those in the logistics field that have not wavered in their commitment in bringing healthy, fresh produce to consumers across North America. Thank you. And during these unprecedented times, organic produce sales, well, they've continued to perform exceedingly well, with double-digit growth in dollar and volume sales. So here to share this data is Steve Lutz. Steve has been part of the produce industry for decades, and as you all know, he is known to be one of the leading figures in produce sales data. Steve is Senior Vice President of Insights and Innovations at Category Partners. Welcome, Steve.
Thanks, Tonya. Great to be here. I appreciate the opportunity to work with the Organic Produce Network. This notion of what a year it's been is absolutely 100% right on the money. It's been a crazy year. And ever since the pandemic hit, we've seen huge fluctuations in performance, not only in organic, but also conventional as well. I think what's really interesting and ought to be, encouraging to those of us on the organic side is that we haven't seen organic suffer any erosion of sales as we've moved through this pandemic period. We had double-digit growth coming into the pandemic, and we've maintained double-digit growth throughout and consistently as the pandemic has played out. So if you look across the different regions of the country, organics have remained very, very strong in the West. The West is the leading region for organic performance at retail. It continues to be the leading region for organic performance. The Northeast, some of the strongest growth nationally, has continued to be in the Northeast. So the regions of the country that have performed well in organic have sailed through this pandemic and have enjoyed increased dollars, increased volume throughout the category. I think what's also interesting is we're seeing some pretty good growth in the South, and you're seeing, increased distribution, increased availability of organic products, and that's helped boost sales in the southern region of the country. So if you look at it overall on balance, yes, sales are elevated at retail. We all know that, but organic continues to outperform conventional. And I think that's very good news in an environment where we know there's a tremendous amount of stress on consumers. There's a tremendous amount of stress on consumer spending, on household income. Yet organic is managing to navigate some difficult conditions. So I think it's pretty positive for where we're at in 2020.
So, to that point, the economists are talking about slower economic growth having an impact on organic sales. And the recent news is telling us that grocery store prices are on the rise. So, will that have an impact on organic sales?
Well, it certainly could. The challenge is we know organic carries a fairly substantial price premium over conventional. If you look at the average across the total department, an organic item costs about double a conventional item. Many categories it's lower, but on average it's about double. And we know that for a swath of consumers, the consumers that tend to move in and out of organic, as opposed to those who are truly dedicated organic shoppers and that's all they buy, those casual shoppers are more sensitive to price changes. So as we get difficult economic conditions, as we have potentially price increases going on at retail, we'll have to watch that, because we do face a situation where potentially some of those more casual consumers that are in and out of the organic categories could very well be discouraged from buying the organic option.
Okay, but here we are. We keep boasting double-digit growth, and we're so excited about it, but we seem to not be able to break that 10% of total produce sales barrier. So we also have seen at the same time that organic is outpacing conventional sales in both dollar and volume. So, Steve, I got to throw it back to you. So, is there opportunity for faster growth? How do we get ourselves above that 10% delta line? And what have been the barriers?
Yeah, well, my honest opinion is that the barrier is availability. I think that's the single biggest factor, is availability of organic products for consumers. Just the month of July, organic dollar share was 11.6%. So that barrier you mentioned of 10%, that's a real barrier we've kind of bumped up against consistently throughout the year. You look at the month of July, we're at 11.6. On the volume side, that barrier tends to be 5% of volume. That's where we're always pushing on the organic side. How do we get above 5% of volume? In July, it was 6%. What we know is that that's very reflective in July of increased availability. There's simply more organic on the shelf in July than there is in June. And I think that's a real clear indicator that as consumers have more organic options, they will increase organic purchases. And then you can see it in the July numbers, despite what we're going through with COVID.
Okay, so much to unpack here. What I'm hearing is that if we have more shelf space, if we have more offerings, if seasonality and abundance, we can build end cap displays. I mean, all those great things will add to our data and get us over that 10% data.
That's what the numbers indicate. If you look at total distribution points of organic produce across the United States, the crazy thing to me is that organic is growing faster than conventional, long-term trend. If you look at the distribution of organic items, conventional is actually growing faster and has continued to grow faster. So while organics have the most growth and the fastest growth, the increased distribution points is still going to conventional. So in my feeling is we're a little out of balance still. Retail produce departments are not yet back in balance with where the consumer is going. That's my opinion.
So does that come down to merchandising? Are you thinking that real estate at the front of the store needs to be occupied by organic? What are what's a tip that you would give to a retailer to help boost those sales?
Well, I think there's a number of things to unpack there, because we know that the growth comes from consumers who begin to broaden the number of items, broaden the basket in terms of the organic items that are in that basket. So as they expand those purchases, obviously the organic total goes up. So some of the things that we've seen in the past relate to how comparable is the quality between the organic item and the conventional item, because for most medium to low users, the barometer of acceptable quality is what they're used to buying in conventional.
Right.
So quality issue is obviously a key factor. Comparability price. Well, what's that price gap? We know that price gaps have a big role in whether consumers are willing to pull the trigger on organic. If you look at the fastest growing categories like bananas, like carrots, like apples, those are categories with very narrow price gaps or price premiums between organic and conventional. So as we narrow those price gaps. You're going to see increased purchase by consumer. And then finally, just the assortment, the availability for consumers to be able to pick comparable items and to have that choice to say, I can buy the conventional item or I can buy an item that's pretty close in organic, and sure, there's a price premium, but can they make that direct comparison? And if you look at categories like carrots, for example, or even packaged salads that have fairly similar offerings,
Right.
you get really strong trade up of consumers who are saying, I'm willing to make that shift because I can see the comparable item, I can see the comparable quality, I can understand the price premium, and that's a good value to me as a shopper. So I think you put those things together, there's certainly more room for growth in organics.
Okay, and lastly, it's summertime. We have an abundance of beautiful tree fruit, grapes, blueberries, strawberries. So you're that merchandiser. You're going to put it next to the conventional to see price comparison, quality comparison, promotional comparison, and that's going to take us over those numbers, right?
Yep. Well, we did a lot of work on this several years ago in looking at organic consumers, talking to organic consumers, asking them about performance, actually looking at retail sales data. What we saw was that the strongest retailers made it the easiest for the consumer to select organic. And so the more the organic was separated from the conventional options, created a bigger barrier. So I absolutely believe that those merchandising decisions that make it easy for the consumer to locate organic, make it easy for a consumer to compare against conventional, make it easy for consumers to find the like items that they want to buy, those absolutely contribute to sales. And we've looked at it long enough to know
Right.
that those are real trends that impact performance.
Hey, Steve, thank you so much for participating today. We really appreciate it. This is great data, great thoughts on how the organic industry is performing and how it's going to continue to meet the demand with some great suggestions on growing our segment. So thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So now let's dovetail from the 2020 data to what's actually happening at store level with consumers.
With nearly 800 warehouse locations in 12 countries, Costco is one of the world's largest retailers of organic fresh produce. Recognized across the globe for its ongoing commitment to organics, please welcome Frank Padilla, who heads up Costco's Fresh Produce program.
Frank has been on the forefront of the organic produce wave since the early 90s. He is Vice President and GMM for meat and produce at Costco Wholesale. Hi, Frank.
Hello, Tonya. Thanks for having me.
We are so honored to have you join us today and discuss organics at Costco. I don't know if a lot of our listeners are aware that Costco has been selling organics for almost 30 years now. So I'm just going to throw the first question out to you. What is the role of organics today at Costco, and how important really is it?
Yeah. Well, we actually have been selling organics for a long time, and I can harken back to the phone call that I received from Tonya in about 1990. And while I didn't really hang up the phone on her, it probably wasn't right for Costco at that time, as we had such small selection of products that we sold. But you're right, we've been selling organics for a long time, and we started out with some of the products that were fairly easy to grow and grow quickly, like spring mix and spinach and some of these things. We called it yuppie salad in those days, and we found our niche that way. But over time, we've been able to expand our organic selection, not only in produce, but something that we do throughout our entire operation for the foods that people are looking for that are not treated with pesticides or synthetic materials or GMO free. And it's just something that has really resonated with our members. That's become a lifestyle of things, of foods to buy, like milk and cheeses and poultry and cookies and salsa and you name it. It's even gone into clothing like socks and pillows and even laundry detergent. So
Right.
organic has meant a lot to us over the years.
Thank you. So produce was the key gateway category. It was your first?
I would say that, yeah, it was probably one of the first things that we sold in our operation, and we believed in it. And it's something that we know that when our members are voting with their dollars, that that's a good thing. And we just, continue to look for more and more and more of what was being successful with the discipline that we couldn't be all things to all people.
Right, exactly. So we just heard Steve talk about the spike of organic sales at the start of the pandemic in March with double-digit growth through the second quarter of the year. What does the past 5 months look like in terms of supply and keeping product moving through the system with organics?
Yeah, it forced us to be nimble and to really understand what the patterns were out there. And it was a little crazy at first because we didn't really know what it was that people were after and to what degree. And over time, after the first couple of months, things really settled down and we got more into a rhythm, not just us in what we sold, but really in what we communicated to our supply chain in terms of going back to the grower and what the needs were at that time and as we move forward. So we're a lot more comfortable with it now, looking back. And we're doing everything we can to promote the product because we have a real opportunity here.
So do you feel like the supply chain held up to meet that consumer demand? And was there a home run item that really kind of surprised you during the past 6 months?
Well, first of all, we're in a good position because we're so committed to an organic program to start. So that's a real benefit there. The other real benefit that we had, great weather. And since the spring was upon us and we had the benefit of all of these crops coming on, where the growers, the timing of what the growers had to what our needs were really, really worked out for us during that time. And so we had things that, Costco is starting to expand its selection. We're allowing, a few more items because that's what our members are looking for. And there's things like organic ginger root that really surprised us. And you may know that along with things that are grown organically, we also are very much believers in things that are grown in protected agriculture and hothouse grown. And some of the items that are now being certified as organic and also hothouse grown, like an organic long English cucumber, also surprises and is doing very, very well.
So, ginger, that just brings right up the opportunity. Ginger's been known to be a anti-inflammatory. I mean, that just makes perfect sense that ginger became a hot item for you. Besides toilet paper, which we all know that it was crazy in the first 6 months of the pandemic with panic buying or excessive buying. So, what are some of the organic items besides ginger that you think really stood out that were more of your staple crop items?
Well, some of the things that we did, the panic buying that was out there at first, not just at Costco, but lots of retail outlets, people were after their water and I don't know why, but toilet paper and cleaning wipes and those kinds of things. And
Right.
we had the luxury of people shopping through, and we still have the treasure hunt where people are bumping into and finding all kinds of things. But
Right.
not unlike other retailers, people were buying the basic items that they needed during that time of potatoes and bananas and citrus and these things, and maybe not as many value added items. And people staying at home and staying safe didn't need to have their apples cut up for them and that kind of thing, nor salad kits probably weren't as hot. But over time, what's happened is people are really hunkered down, and since restaurants are not as open as they used to be, are cooking more and really exploring and being creative with lots and lots of meals and the ingredients that they need to make the creative meals that they're looking for.
Right.
And so some of the items that have surprised us probably have been organic Brussels sprouts, organic mushrooms, cremini mushrooms, these kinds of things that people are adding to their menus.
And cooking more. Well, speaking of hunkering down, one of the consumer trends we're seeing is that there's a lot more direct to consumer options. And everything I've read is you're having great success with programs like Instacart sales. So during this period, has organic produce been impacted with this direct to consumer channel for you?
Yeah, it has. And we're also blessed that we had a relationship established with Instacart, and it was one that was worked on for quite a while, and we were at the ready with having that offering of buying products online. Again, the basic needs, but also Organic produce is one of those, the people that were wanting to stay safe and have the convenience and the means by which to order products online and have the trust of not only the products that they buy here at Costco, but also the Instacart employees that are picking out those products that are going to be able to pick up these items for them with confidence that they're going to deliver, what they expect.
Right, exactly. So with that, I'm curious, the Instacart member is doing the shopping. So does that mean that you actually expanded your customer base with customers that may not have a Costco card but are buying through Instacart? Do you have that data, or is that
That
something?
is a real possibility. I don't know what that data is, but that is a possibility, and it's a very popular thing. You may have heard recently, we've even expanded to Canada, has been turned on now, and this has just broadened our reach to members, whether you're a member or not. Selling memberships and that kind of thing is another topic, but
Right.
it has, when we see that, we know that we're selling more products online, and organics are growing just as fast.
So if it's growing more and there's more online direct to consumer, is that ultimately going to change the face of brick and mortar sales? Where do you see it kind of fitting in? It's not going to go away, right?
No, I think we're going to have that convenience option. That's truly not what we do and how we are established, because we still need that treasure hunt atmosphere is really what makes us successful, and we think it will be there for the long term. But we just know that members, shopping from home or online due to time constraints or fear of going out or just convenience is something that's going to be there. It's grown quite nicely. I don't know if it's going to grow more than where we are right now, but it's something that we're very pleased with.
So, switching back to our industry, we've been through so many changes in these past 6 months on how we just do business. So, what do you think you believe has changed for our business, maybe for good, and is never going to come back?
There's one bucket of things that has probably changed that's going to be very similar to what happened, say, like after 9/11, that now we have TSA at the airports that has security that's become the mainstay, and everybody goes to the same thing, and it's understood and why it happened and why we do it. And there's things that we see now that are we're living with for the duration of wearing masks. Maybe we don't have face-to-face meetings. There's social distancing and heightened awareness for cleanliness and sanitation and food safety. Those are things that are going to be around for a while. But the one thing that has changed, and it's something that we rely on in our operation, is sampling and demoing products, especially when you have something that's new and you want to introduce it because it's a new season or a new variety or a high flavor something. You want to get it in the people's mouths and get them to try it, especially with operations like ours that are selling, big bulk packs that, once somebody buys them, you want them to enjoy, from the first bite all the way to the last. And so without demoing or sampling, this is something that's really, really changed. For us, I don't know when it's going to be back, but it's been very impactful not to have that.
Right. And I think you were on the forefront of packaging, Frank. Everything that we offered at Costco, all of the suppliers, they had to have a Costco pack. So that adds to that safety factor and convenience. So do you feel that consumers are really feeling good about your direction and always protecting that product?
Yeah, that's very, very key. We for organic products, we're fortunate that we partnered with a lot of our suppliers that have grown conventional product all their life, and they've learned to convert over to organic, and that's been a real boost to be able to know how that's done in a conventional way, and then transition over to organic and deliver in the same method with good, high quality products with good shelf life, but also professional packaging that's going to really tell a story on the shelf.
Right. So one of the things we haven't talked about, I want to back up for a second. Logistics is such a huge part of our business. And I remember early on when there were a lot of container ships over in the Chinese Peninsula, and we had to reposition ourselves. And how long did it take to work through all those logistics to be able to have that flow moving smoothly? Because I know you were worried about, bringing fruit from Central America. So was that a quick response, or did it drag on a little bit too long for you?
Right. Yeah, it's great to talk about organic products, and they seem like they're local and nearby. And that's great that we're all pushing to have the supply. But with that comes the packaging that you need to bring that product to market. And we faced a couple of little blips here and there, but by and large, by trying to stay ahead and as much as we can, we're able to not have too many interruptions and really tell our story and make sure that we're prepared for growth.
Exactly. So you have the organic supply chain listening to you today, Frank, and as we all try to make lemonade out of this lemon of a year, what's the one positive thing that the industry may have benefited from that we can use in the coming years?
Well, I just think that, retail is in a very, very good position because I think that we as retailers can do organic better than anyone, better than any food service operators. And the lemonade that we're enjoying at the moment is one that when so many outlets are closed for out, eating out and that kind of thing, that it's the opportunity for retailers to really take advantage of that and really stay devoted to the organic producers and honor the commitments that are out there and to keep on that growth. And as Steve was mentioning, maybe it hasn't grown that much, but I think the opportunity is there. Definitely.
Absolutely. So, what advice or feedback would you share with the audience from your perspective? What are we getting right? And what do we need to work on?
Well, I just encourage everybody to keep doing what you're doing and continuing to grow in an organic, safe way, and keep transitioning the land. It's needed, and just know that we will stay committed to the contracts and the commitments that we've made, and that one thing could really benefit while we haven't traveled that much and we're doing so many things virtually. When the opportunity presents itself, go and take a look at your products and see how they're selling next to what does it look like next to the conventional product or in the lineup, or what's the shelf life and what's the quality and what's the value in that given operation. Might be something that might benefit everybody to see how their product is standing up out there as we move forward.
So, just to digress for a second, that is so important, Frank, because when I was teaching at Cal Poly and my first day of class, I asked everybody, how much does a 6-pack of beer cost? And everybody raised their hand and knew exactly. And I said, how much is a 5-pound bag of apples? And they all looked at each other. And I said, well, last time I checked, you want to be in the produce industry, not the beer industry. So get yourself into a produce department, walk the store, learn what it has, understand, value added versus bulk, organic versus conventional. So I think that is the best message that you can send to this industry is get in the stores, see what's happening. What does it look like at store level? I absolutely agree with you.
That's great.
Yeah, it's perfect. So Frank, I can't thank you enough for sharing your insights on organic produce sales. We hope that our listeners came away with a better understanding of the category, of where the demand is today, and really where the opportunities lie ahead at Costco and at retail facilities throughout the U.S. I just want to thank you again for taking the time to speak with us. It is such an honor, Frank, to have you part of our day.
Great. Thank you very much, Sonia.
You're
Great
so
talking
welcome.
to you, Steve.
We hope our listeners came away with a better understanding of the category, where the demand is today, and where opportunities truly lie ahead. Thank you again to our sponsors, Homegrown Organic Farms and Star Ranch Growers. We couldn't do it without you. This recording will be made available on our website, organicproducenetwork.com. And for all of you joining us today, have a great rest of your day. Take care And please be safe, everyone.
Today's exclusive Organic Produce Network event is made possible by our sponsors, Homegrown Organic Farms and Star Ranch Organics.